What's up, everybody? Well, I got another Steam Deck OLED video for you guys today. And today, we are going to just simply do a review of this guy. Now, I don't even think I ever did a review on the Steam Deck. Maybe I did, but I don't think so. But I've had both of them long enough to make informed decisions, at least give you guys my opinions. I'm just a dude. I didn't get any of this stuff for free, so I can insult this stuff as much as I want or as little as I want. No one's gonna say, hey, you can't do that, you can't say this, you can't say that. Nope, just my opinions. Now, of course, I could still be biased, but all I can do is do my best to put those biases away, because technically I have biases for both the Ally and the Steam Deck. I have both of them. If I didn't like one of them, I would have gotten rid of it, you know? So, basically what we're gonna do is, we'll obviously first and foremost, take a quick short little tour around the thing. We'll compare it to the old Steam Deck, so you guys can see what's different about them. Of course, like I said, we'll take a closer look at the thing. Then after that, we'll go and do some like microphone test. How good do the speakers sound? How good is the screen? That kind of stuff. Then go out on the desktop, show you it can, be a desktop computer too. Anything a computer do, a Steam Deck can do too. And then we'll also show what kind of games are good for this kind of thing. We'll go from indies to fricking like just fun games, AAA games, and we'll even show you games that don't necessarily run so well. And what happens when you pick a game that's a little bit too much for this system, as well as, a bunch of things in between, like button feel, how heavy it is, all of that good junk. So, now that we've had this long intro, why don't we just get started, and we'll start by looking around the thing. Actually, I forgot, since the screen isn't on, it loves to just go in and out of focus. So, let's start with a quick boot test. See how long it takes it to get into its operating system. Alright, just hold the button down until you hear it make a dring noise. And then we'll see how long this takes. And one way you can tell the difference between this and the old Steam Deck, I mean, if all the other obvious things don't already give it away, the little dot there is orange instead of blue. Now, generally speaking, I never shut mine off. I just leave my Steam Decks and Ally on 24/7. Just plug them in and let them charge up, and then put them, as soon as they're at 100%, I unplug them and just turn them into sleep mode. The only one that I don't do that with, oh, there we go, see? Didn't take too awful long. A little longer than, a super powerful laptop or desktop would take to turn on. Although I still think that might beat my secondary computer. But in any case, now that we won't have the thing unfocusing constantly, making the video a pain in the ass for everyone to watch, now we can go over like all of the different things. Well, all right. First, let's just quickly go over all of the things that the Steam Deck has here. So, you of course are greeted by a 7.4-inch OLED screen. It's also HDR. Now, I might get some of these specs wrong. I tried to memorize this stuff the best I could. But if I recall, this screen has HDR brightness of 1000 nits, and under SDR content, it's 600 nits. So no matter what, it's a pretty bright screen, especially compared to the old model. I think the old model was like a 400 nit screen. So that's like 200 nits brighter, just even in SDR content. And then they have given us some new thumb sticks here. They feel definitely a lot more sticky, like I have more grip than with the old ones. And I like the fact that they're black now instead of gray. That's just cool. Then they changed the color of these guys. Doesn't really feel like they've changed the buttons themselves, but they still changed the color from white to gray, which is a nice touch. They made the vibration motors on these guys feel a lot stronger. The speakers, they say they improved them, but I feel like they might be better clarity-wise, but I feel like they lost a little volume, unless I just have like a dud of a unit or something like that. So, that's pretty much all for the front. Then you've got your, I think this is a share button. Oh, what we got here? Oh, the SD card's doing that cool stuff it does. So, sometimes with Steam Decks, you just have to do this real quick. Boom, there we go. Now slow drive is back. Anyway, sorry to interrupt the video with that nonsense, but that's just something that happens sometimes with Steam Decks. At least it's not dead like my Ally's SD card slot. But anyway, I guess we can show you guys the bottom now. All you've got is a little spot for the SD card right there, and other than that, you have nothing else. So then for the top, you've got your volume rockers, you've got your little 3.5mm headphone jack, you've got your little ventilation, your USB-C for charging and video out. It does not support external GPUs though. And then you've got your little charging activity light, and of course you've got your power light and your triggers. Now the only thing that's left is to look at the back. So all you have on the back is you have your intake. So if you're going to set it down, make sure you don't set it down on like a pillow or something, or it's not going to be able to breathe. Then you've got your little back buttons. I don't use them that often, but in a couple games I do, so it's nice to have them. And then besides that, the only other thing that feels a little different is it feels like the shell might have a little bit more grip to it as well when I feel it compared to my old one. Maybe it's just because this one's newer and I wore off this feeling from the old one I had. Who knows? But that is pretty much it for a quick look around of the Steam Deck. So now we can get into some other stuff. All right, well, my original Steam Deck has had enough time to charge. Wasn't expecting it to be completely dead, seeing as though it's just been sitting in its case, shut off for like 3 days. So that's definitely a little strange. I've had that thing in that case for like months before and it hasn't lost a single percent. So I wonder what in the hell happened there, but anyway, hopefully I remember to add this to the right spot in the video, seeing as though I have to do this completely towards the end of what I was trying to do, right before I think I was gonna get to the pros and cons. But I wanted to go get this done before I completely forgot to add it to the video at all. So here's just a quick differences between the two Steam Decks. Well, quite obvious elephant in the room is the screens. This one obviously is an OLED. That's the LCD. This one's 7.4 inches. That guy is just 7 inches, I believe. And man, just having the screen fill in more of the bezel makes the Steam Deck OLED looks so much more like, it's just so much better. This looks like more outdated just because of the giant bezel around there. I remember a lot of people were complaining about that. I don't really care how the thing looks, I'm just pointing out things that are different. And I definitely like the thumbsticks. These redone thumbsticks definitely feel a little better. These are a little slippery in comparison to these. These feel like they have a really dang good grip on them. The outside things feel good too. Definitely a little more grippier than these. Not that these are horrible, it's better than nothing. Better than just having a completely flat rubber thing with nothing in it at all, but hey. And then as we've already discussed, they changed the white text to gray for these buttons. All these buttons went from white to gray, so that's pretty nice. Obviously, this is a 60 hertz screen as well. Not only is this OLED, it also is a 90 hertz screen. Neither one have variable refresh rate, though. I think the only dang thing that does is the Ally, now that I think about it. So that is definitely a cool feature for it to have. It's not the be-all, end-all, but it's definitely a cool feature to have. So now if we turn them up like this, hopefully I don't drop them and break them, you guys can see the differences. You've got a orange power button versus a just black one. The charging light actually changes colors too. This one is just always white. This one changes depending on what, if it's charging, if it's charged, what have you. You've still got the same vent, only with a much better fan on the OLED model, so it's way quieter. And other than that, everything else is the same. I'd turn them upside down, but they are honestly the exact same underneath. There's absolutely nothing different. Now, one other thing that feels a little interesting is even though I've got them side by side, like, this feels wider than the old one. I don't know if it actually is or not, but that's definitely feels like this one has a little bit wider hold to it. Maybe because they put a bigger screen in? I don't think so, though, because I think this still fits in this giant bezel just fine. So I don't think that's what it is. Might just be a placebo effect, just because the screen looks so much bigger on this one than that one. Trying to think of some other things that are way different. I've also said that the speakers sound pretty clear and crystal on this guy, but I swear these ones sound a little bit like, let's just do this, put them both up to 75%. Well, actually, we'll just max them both out. It's not like it's gonna hurt them. And then we'll go around and I'll show you what I mean. So. Maybe it's just at the lower volumes. They sound pretty spot on, accurate when you're just in the menu here with them at 100%. Because half the time I play with it at about right there. And when I have this one here and this one here at the same exact spot, I think that's about right. See? So it must just be slight difference in the way the slider works, because at 100 they sound about the same. So I don't know, or maybe I went a hair lower than I did on that one on there. Who knows? So that's another slight difference that I noticed. And then the other elephant in the room is this one's definitely a lot lighter. It does, like a couple grams doesn't sound like much on paper, but I can feel a big difference in how heavy these feel compared to one another. I could obviously hold either one up, no problem. It's not like I'm like, oh man, these are just so heavy. I can't pick it up. But still, it feels more comfortable no matter who you are to have something lighter in your hands than something heavier. So just another thing that's different. Also, the battery is bigger in this. This one I believe is a 40 watt-hour battery. This one has a 48, if I recall. Could be getting that wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. Either way, it's a little bit bigger on the Steam Deck OLED, as well as, you know, having the more efficient processor and all that stuff, and the OLED screen, all that adds up to you getting way better battery life on this guy than on this guy. Like if we went and played Cyberpunk on this, both of them 100% battery, this one would probably go 2 hours, 40 minutes. This one would struggle to get 1 hour and 20 minutes to 1 hour and 40 minutes on the same game. It's that big of a difference. And then, in easier to run games, it's not even funny. This guy can get like 6 to 9 hours of gameplay. That one maxes out at like 5, 6 hours, maybe 7 if I played something real simple like Vampire Survivors. So really, that's about it as far as the differences go. They're very similar, yet very different. But if you don't have a lot of money and you've got one of these, I wouldn't go throw my money away on this. It's cool and all, but it's not the be-all end-all upgrade. But if you're buying a Steam Deck for the first time, I would definitely recommend just getting that one. Just realize you're not going to be able to play a lot of AAA titles on this thing. If you want to play AAA titles, I would go with one of the, like an Ally or a Legion Go or one of the other 7840Us or something like that. But anyway, now I can get back to what I was doing before, and then I will hopefully remember to place this in the correct spot in the video when I get to the editing process. Alright, well, I wanted to show the old Steam Deck versus the new Steam Deck, but it was just completely dead. I thought it was broken, but it was completely dead on battery, even though I had it at 100%, turned it off, and it's just been sitting there for like a couple days, so maybe that battery's cooked already or something. But in any case, I'm gonna let it charge while I make this video, and while I do some more of just the Steam Deck OLED, and hopefully after an hour or so, I'll be able to just compare the two and hopefully remember to add it to the correct part of the video on the timeline. But anyway, here is your desktop, so it basically can become like a normal computer at any time. You want to go and surf the web, you've got a web browser. It helps if you actually click it correctly. So boom, there you go. You got yourself a web browser. You want to go to YouTube, you can go to YouTube. See? So, works. So yeah. That part works just fine. Actually, we'll close that. It's the one thing, since it's not like this thing is full of memory, you don't really want to be running a bunch of stuff in the background. Because I'm pretty sure if I leave like a bunch of internet browsers and stuff on the desktop here, and then I go back to big picture mode, I'm pretty sure it would still mess with my performance. Although maybe Linux is just different than Windows, and that wouldn't affect dick. But I don't know. So I just don't do it. But you've got basically your folders here, like you would have on your Windows computers. So there's all your downloads. I could even go on my network right now. Documents, music, desktop, all that good stuff. And then you can use this to scroll. So if I go over here and just hit that, you can use that to scroll. Pretty cool. Same thing if you're on the internet. So if I actually go back here, oh screw you, I don't care, go away, don't care. And see, you can scroll with the one. So pretty cool. And then of course you've got your updates for all your applications here. So if you want to download other stuff and you want it to be easy, just like downloading, and you don't have to type anything and you just want to download stuff, well, most stuff you want is right here. Then of course you've got all your battery information. There's your Steam, your audio, Wi-Fi, all that good stuff. Most recent device, which is slow drive, and you can even peek at your desktop. And then of course you've got your date and time. So yeah, if you have your expectations in check. I mean, you could even do little tiny video editing and picture editing on this thing if you have like a keyboard and mouse and whatnot. Just don't try to do what I do on my YouTube channel and take 4K 60 FPS high bitrate video and put it on something like this. Unless you want to be sitting there. I don't even think it has enough memory to do it in the first place, but even if it did, it'd probably take like 8 hours to encode the video. And that'd be pretty hard on your CPU. That thing would probably be sitting at like 90 degrees the whole time it was doing it. I don't really know. This thing actually seems pretty cool running, but so far I've never really just run anything that just runs the CPU at 100%. So that's pretty much that for the desktop. Pretty much turns it into a computer. So, I mean, it is a computer. It's just marketed more to be like the bridge between a console and a computer. And then when you're ready to go back, you can just go right over. Well, you can either go over there and do it, but where did the thing go? I just have a desktop icon. There it is. You can just do that. Whenever you're ready to go back to your big screen mode, you can just click that. It'll say it's like shutting down Steam and doing all this other stuff. So when it does stuff like that, it's like it makes me think it just shuts the desktop puts it to sleep or something like that. I don't know. Give it a couple seconds. I just want to show you real time how long something like this takes. It's definitely a little clunky, I'm not going to lie. It takes it some time to switch back and forth, but I don't really use the desktop that much. There it goes. So, definitely takes some time, and now you are back in big picture mode. So, definitely not bad. So now, I'm going to, actually, before I did that, I should have gone and done, like, the mic and stuff, but I'm just going to make an audio recording for you guys for that. I'm sure it's got an audio recording thing like Windows does. And then we'll go back on YouTube and find like something to test out the speakers or something. Then we'll move on to what kind of games it can play and its performance and all that good stuff. Okay, this is just a quick test of the microphones of the Steam Deck OLED. Because I know there's going to be some people that want to communicate with people through, something like Discord or in a game, just in a game with push to talk, something like that. So, or somebody might want to just use this to record some audio for a podcast. I don't think it's probably going to be good enough audio for that, but hey, at least we'll test. But in any case, I think that is more than good enough for a quick audio test. Unfortunately, it didn't have a stock recording software, but it did let me download Audacity, which is what I generally use when I make videos. Alright, now, since we got done with the mic test, now let's quickly do ourselves a quick speaker test. Now, of course, we're going to use the crab rate, because I know I won't get in trouble for it. So, I turned it up to 100% volume. I don't generally like doing that, but it shouldn't kill the speakers instantly just by doing it once. But if I don't do that, then people will go, what in the hell, you didn't put them up to 100%, man. So, hopefully nothing happens to them, but I guess if something does, I can send it to Back to Val, be like, hey, speaker's blue. Let's see how it sounds. Alright, and see, they sound pretty decent. They're nothing to write home about, but they're more than loud, it's more than clear enough. It just lacks any bass. But, most things lack bass. Even this Alienware right here doesn't have, any bass to it. It's a laptop, they're tiny little dinky speakers, how do we expect there to be any bass? But it's clear, it's not distorting or anything like that. So I'd say that's more than passable. But now, why don't we go in and see what kind of games this thing can play, from indie titles, AAA, what have you. Alright, so, this is the kind of game I'll normally play on this thing. Gotta remember how this works, okay. So this isn't one where you control, some of them you control like this and aim. Takes me a second to get back to it. This is pretty much the kind of stuff I got the Steam Deck to play. Little indie titles like this. Give me the jewels! And it handles games like this with ease. Except for on this one, if you get to, I don't know if they fixed it, if you get to the later levels, when there's lots of stuff on screen, it can get a little stuttery and laggy on this guy. At least it used to on the OG Steam Deck. Hey, money! Cool, I'll do that. Even though I'm not going to probably play for too much longer here, I just wanted to show you guys how it runs some of the games I play on pretty high basic. But I haven't been playing this one in a couple of weeks. I've been kind of obsessed with this truck driving game, which I'll show you next. But alright, I think that's good. So, now on to the next game.
No, I'm here to save the Beatles. You shouldn't be testing the dogs.
Screw you guys. So this is another comp game I've played quite a bit recently. I was going to get to the truck driving game, the one I've been playing the most, but then I saw this one. I was like, oh yeah, I've been playing the hell out of that too.
Machine gun.
Hell yeah.
911 was an inside job. It was a controlled demolition. The moon landing was a hoax. Paul McCartney died 50 years ago. Machine gun. going to lower the world's population.
Not if I have anything to say about it.
I'm going to lower the world's population. I thought you did computers, libtard. Kill them all.
Alright, let's move on to the next game, shall we? Alright, this is the game I've been playing the most on my Steam Deck lately. It's American Truck Simulator. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't get 60 FPS in all places. I wished it did, but it just doesn't. There's certain spots where it just doesn't want to. And we're not even, like, maxing out the GPU, so maybe it's because the CPU's not powerful enough to push the GPU? I don't know. I doubt it, though. It's probably just the game being weird. But no, a lot of people would find this excruciating boring, but I do usually play this before bed. I usually go into my bedroom around 2 a.m. and just start relaxing and get to bed by around 3. Oh, I'm speeding. It definitely takes some getting used to driving something like this on a small screen. I started out playing this game on my main computer. But then I was like, you know what, this would be a great way to just wind down at night. And obviously if I wanted to save battery, I could just lock it to 30 FPS and never have it drop frames ever, but most of the time it is in the 60s. It's just when we get like into cities that it really drops down into the 30s and 40s. Like right now we're in the 50s and 60s. Going through a forest, just chilling. Looks like I can go a little faster now. I can actually go 55, it seems. But it still plays it more than good enough for me. If I wanted a more consistent 60, I can always grab the Ally for this game. The Ally definitely plays this game a little better. But I really like this OLED screen, how dim it can get in the dark. It's good for eye strength. The Ally doesn't quite get dim enough. Plus, half the time at night I use it as like a thing to upload videos and watch Hulu and whatnot. Because yeah, I'm one of those people that just sleeps with the TV on. Usually put King of the Hill, Family Guy on, something I've seen a bazillion times. And just put that on for background noise. But in any case, I think that's more than good enough for the easier games that it can run. So why don't we go move on to something a little tougher? Alright, well, here's a AAA title with HDR on and everything. So we can get a good look at the OLED HDR screen. And we'll just run around a little bit here. And then after this game, I'll show you what it's like when you try to play a game that's just a little bit too much for the deck. But it still amazes me that this thing's able to play Cyberpunk as well as it does. Which always makes me think, what the hell is its excuse for some of these other games? They don't look half as good, and yet they run so much worse. Like the next game I'm going to run, for example. An explosion of taste, eh?
veteran situation.
And even if you run around, spin around a surface like that, you don't get like crazy stutters or anything like that. So that's pretty neat. I'm pretty damn happy with this thing's performance in this particular game. Hell, I could even play like this if I was better at playing shooters with a controller anyway. But if I was out on the road and I wanted to play some Cyberpunk, I would play like this. I'd die a lot, but it wouldn't be because of the frame rate. And don't get me wrong, I would love if it could hit constant 60, but that just wasn't in the cards, so I would rather have a constant 30 without lots and lots of drops versus it going all over the place. That's just me. But anyway, I think that's more than good enough, so why don't we now go ahead and go see what happens when a game doesn't run so well on the Steam Deck. One that's just a little bit too much for it. Okay, so
Are you gonna tell them?
here is a game, Immortals of Aveum, which is just a little bit too much for the Steam Deck to play. This is pretty much everything on lowest graphics possible,
Sure.
with FSR on, I believe, performance mode, helping it out. And yet we still can't even hit 30 FPS. Now still, some might consider this completely playable, but for me this is just a little bit too slow in the FPS department.
What's up? You're in no hurry to get back.
No.
You're thinking how much you're going to miss this garbage heap.
But this game also says it's not supported,
Don't call my
so...
home a garbage heap.
Generally, supported games won't run this bad, but there are a couple exceptions to the rule where I'm sitting here like, how
We
the
don't
hell did this get
technically know
verified?
if the wound is totally
It's like,
bloodless.
is verifying just be like, hey, the game started, it got to
You'll
the
be
start
okay.
screen, awesome,
I'll watch over
put a
you.
check mark on it, sir.
I've got an idea.
You know? That's what it seems like sometimes. But yeah, we're dropping all the way into the teens even sometimes.
Target practice?
Why not? It's our civic duty as citizens of the Saren Underbridge.
It's janitorial work.
Probably would have made more money clearing off these lurch barnacles than we did at that play.
Fair. You're all about duty right now, aren't you? Nice. You'll make a good soldier. I hear they give better uniforms to the lightless that can summon a little magic like this.
There's a war, Jack. It's not about the uniform.
Or maybe it's better boots.
Cheese, Jack.
Wait, what?
It's always the
Soldiers get
boots.
to eat real cheese. Boots are just extra.
Rasharn's got no idea what's coming.
Made corporal, I can even buy land. The whole farm just full of boots.
Look.
But
I
yeah,
know
you pretty
what
much
you're
get the
saying,
idea.
I get it.
Not all
But I
games
don't-
are going to run well on this.
Not really.
And that's one of its
You're the
Achilles
first
heels.
person I've met that
But
actually
let's
wants
be
to
honest,
fight
this
in
game
everyone.
doesn't even run
No
that
one
well on the
escapes the
Ally.
jab,
But
Jack.
at least in the Ally's
They do
defense, you
all
can
the
actually get it to
time.
30-ish
You're not even
FPS
going to
playable.
try.
Besides,
Unlike
I don't
this
want
guy.
to fight in the Everwar. I
But
want to fight
in any
for
case,
Elysium.
now why don't we just
Exactly the same
go
thing.
move on to
Just
my
shut
things
and
that I
shoot.
really like about this versus the things I do not like about this thing. Alright, so now I figured we'd go over some pros and cons of the Steam Deck, at least my opinions. I mean, some of them opinions, some are just straight up facts, but just want to throw that out there. So, one of the things I like about the Steam Deck is it has a community. So let's say you've downloaded a game like this that is mostly made, this is BattleBit remastered. This is mostly meant to be played with a keyboard and mouse. So it doesn't work very good with a controller, at least when I downloaded it. So I wanted to test it out on the Steam Deck though. So you know what? All you have to do is hit right here. You can go to the battle things, and then you can go to controller settings, and there you go. So now you can go here, and you can see that I have downloaded a template. So like you go to a game, you've got recommended, so usually in the recommended there'll be more than just one. But if there's not one there, there's some just regular templates that are just mouse only, touchscreen only, WSAD and mouse, all sorts of different ones. But the one I like the most is this. You can find controller schemes that people have made. So you can make like games feel just perfect with with these guys. If you want to use track pads, you can do that. If you want to use gyro, you can do that. There's so many different options. So that is probably one of my favorite parts about the Steam Deck, is the community. And then the second thing I like, if we just back out completely of that, is if you're just playing a game and, oh man, I gotta do something real quick. You just shut your Steam Deck off, go do your thing, la 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 la. I went off, did my thing, my camera's gonna get mad at me and be all terrible. All right, now I feel like coming back. I'm done doing my thing. Oh, look at that. We're right back where we were. See? Didn't crash, didn't freeze. Now, of course, there will be exceptions to the rule. Just like with the Xbox, some games will still crash and be like weird if you like leave them like that, but I've had that happen a lot more on my Ally. And plus, this is a lot better on battery than the Ally when you just have it in sleep mode, at least from my testing. So I would say those are my two absolute favorite things about this. Besides the fact that you can just, the OS is made for the thing. So it's made for like the controller. I know you can put the Ally and all the other Windows handhelds in big picture mode, but it just doesn't feel the same. Like, this thing is just perfect. You got like all your overlay levels just all built right into the thing. You don't have to have one that isn't compatible with certain things. Like, this will pop up for any game. It doesn't matter what you're playing. Any game on the Steam Deck, you will get a performance tab, control all that stuff. Sometimes the Windows ones do not work so well. Or you'll tell them, hey, I want you to do 25 watts. It'll be like, all right, champ, anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and do 30. So you're like, what the hell are you doing? I told you to do 25, or I told you to do 15. What the heck are you doing using 30? So, just things like that. And then other things I like is obviously this screen. This screen is just absolutely sweet. It might only be 800p, but it is such a nice screen. That OLED and HDR and brightness. You play any HDR game on this thing and it's just gonna look great. I like completely forget that it's only 800p. But that's just my personal opinion, and this is coming from somebody who has better than 20/20 vision. And I don't really notice a huge difference. Now, sure, if I go grab my Ally and put them side by side, sure, the 1080p screen would look a hair crisper. Absolutely. But it's not like, oh my god, everything on this looks like trash, I can't even. But I will say one thing, OLED and text has some weird shit going on to it. I've never seen an OLED screen where text looks crisper than on like an IPS or what is that other VA panel. So that is one thing to be alert for. You might notice that text looks a little fuzzy. I've noticed that on all my OLED monitors and TVs compared to like non-OLED stuff. But it's not like, oh my god, it looks horrible. You just kind of notice that. It doesn't look quite as crisp. I think it has to do with the sub-pixel layout of OLED LED versus the way that normal LCDs and whatnot do it. But I also like the speakers. The speakers are quite good. They're not the best in the world. The Ally and a couple other handhelds definitely have some better speakers now, but they're still more than adequate, especially when you max them out. I mean, they're not that loud when you have them at like half volume. I don't know what the bug is with that, but I just showed you guys like it's quieter on the new Steam Deck at 50% than it is on the old one. 100% sounded about the same. I was actually surprised. But then I turned it back down to around 50%, and the OLED definitely sounded quieter than the old LCD model. But still, like the speakers, I really, really like the lightness and how it feels in my hand too. This is definitely the one I use more often than the Ally. The Ally is still lighter than this, I believe, but it just doesn't feel as good in the hand. Oh no, my battery is about dead. So I guess I'll change my battery out, and then I think it's about time to get to the cons anyway. Okay, we got ourselves a fresh battery now, so now why don't we talk about some of the things I don't really like about the Steam Deck. And there's not really that many things, since I bought it knowing exactly what it can do, but I just want to do what might be cons for everybody. The first con is, obviously, not all games are going to run. Now, obviously, there are ways to get around that. I actually have some non-Steam, I don't know if it's still, yep, I still have it. I still have some non-Steam stuff. You can install it. They've got programs that can install this stuff for you, where all you gotta do is put like your password and stuff in. But what this won't fix is games that just have anti-cheat. Like if I went and tried to download, trying to think of something. Like there's been some obscure game, but it's like a first-person shooter, and it'll say, oh, well, we need that easy anti-cheat. Now, that works on some games, like Elden Ring, but you might pick that game, and it goes, nope, can't work, doesn't work, can't verify. It'll even make you think the game installed and everything's good, but then you'll just get a message saying, nope, anti-cheat says no go. So then you just can't play that game. And then the other thing is, it's a little on the weaker side on the handhelds at this point. So even though it's got all that customization and all that cool stuff, it's still not going to be a powerhouse that's going to be able to play like all new AAA titles flawlessly. Some it'll be able to play just fine, like Cyberpunk, but that's an older game now. Newer games tend to run more like that Immortals of Aveum, but not every game. Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth ran just fine on this guy and the Ally. So not every new game sucks, but seems like a lot of the new UE Engine 5 games are not going to run good on this guy. Although, let's be honest, they don't even run that great on the Ally. Though they still run better on the Ally. That is for sure true. So I don't really like that you can't play all your games on it, but I knew that going into it, so it's not a huge deal for me, but it's definitely going to be a problem for some. So another problem that I would say is it's a little pricey, I would say, for the top dog model like this. I mean, you can get like a Legion Go or an Ally for right around the same price as the top dog with the anti-glare screen and all that. But that can be negated by just getting the cheapest version and getting a little M.2 and upgrading it yourself. It's not that hard. I had to actually replace the fan on my original Steam Deck since it was making weird clackling noises. The Steam Deck is very easy to work with. So it is a little overpriced, so that's one other con, I would say, for some people getting into this guy for the first time. But you also have the old model. If you want to actually save money, you can just get the old LCD model, and that'll save you a lot of money. You can get those for like $200-300 now. Especially if you're willing to go used, you can probably get those for under $200 in some spots for like the 64 gig model. So the price isn't really the biggest deal. Like I said, I'm going to have to really try hard to think of some cons here. So we've already covered the fact that it doesn't run, all AAA titles. So that kind of goes in. I could say con CPU and GPU not being powerful, but that's really just beating a dead horse. I already kind of talked about that. All right, well, another con that, is pretty easy to deal with, but you have to be, aware of it. This is an OLED screen. It can get burnt in if you're not careful, but as long as you're not trying to go max brightness, like HDR brightness, and then just leave it on a screen like this for like a real long time. I'm not talking like go download a game and then you're gonna have a screen burnt in. Hell no, it's not gonna do that. But if you freaking are going to just, let's say, go to a movie, we'll be watching a movie on the screen, it's watching it in HDR content, and then all of a sudden, for some odd reason, you just left that thing on for like months. Then you would probably have some bits of that movie burnt into your screen. So you kind of have to try to like do burn in. But the easiest way to get rid of that is to just leave it on auto brightness, or if you know it's going to be on a screen like this, for example, for a really long time, you can just come right up here, boom. Now you really don't have to worry about it. It's hard to see, but now that's really not going to ever burn anything in at that point. So, and then if you want to come put it back to the, auto, you can just come down here, click that on and off real quick, and it'll go right back into adaptive brightness mode. Pretty cool, right? So that's a quick con that could be a possibility, but again, it's not a huge deal, but still could be perceived as a con for some. The OLED screen could burn in, just like any other OLED screen, but I haven't really had any problems with that, and I have a bunch of OLED screens, so. The worst I've ever gotten is a small amount of image retention, which went away after about a week or two of not having the wallpaper on my main computer anymore. I had one that wasn't quite animated enough, so a couple parts of the wallpaper that didn't move kind of burnt in for a little while. I had the same one for like fucking 6-7 months though. So like I said, it's gotta be on there months. Or if you're gonna have a TV and watch nothing but CNN, for example, the CNN logo might just get burnt into your damn corner of your screen kind of dealio. But that could be perceived as another con, so just be a little careful of burn-in. But it's not the end of the world. It's not like, oh, you left a thing on for 10 minutes, it's burnt in, it's fucked. So you don't really have to worry super bad about it, but it is still a possibility in extreme scenarios, so I wanted to mention it. And now the final thing I can really think of that's a big con for this guy is if you go into your storage, it's towards the bottom here. Now, do you see that shaders? Now, unfortunately, this one's still not that old, but if I look at this on my OG Steam Deck, that's at like, I think 40 or 50 gigs. So eventually those shaders are gonna take up like all your space. So you're gonna have to eventually go in and, do some house cleaning. But you kind of have to do that on main computer too. Just not with that particular thing. It's not a shader problem. Usually it's just a built-up crap problem where you downloaded too many games, too many files, and you ran out of space. Or you did something to make your computer start running like crap. So that's about the only other thing. The shaders, even though it's a gift and a curse, doesn't really matter when you have like a terabyte. But when you've only got like 512 or under, space is pretty limited. So you don't want too much space being taken up by shaders. So if that's ever a problem for anybody, they can go in and just keep clearing them. It's not like it's gonna break the Steam Deck. Or since everything is just locked to your account anyway, like all your game saves and stuff, you could just reset the dang thing and not even waste the time. That's what somebody suggested I do back in my complaint when I complained about that in a video before. But other than that, that's about it. There's not that many cons to this thing. We already went over you can't play every game. Some games aren't going to run well because it's just not powerful enough. And then we went over it being a small bit overpriced for the OLED top-of-the-line models. But you at least get a terabyte of storage. I think if you want a terabyte of storage on like a Legion Go, you have to spend like $700. So $50 more than this thing costed when I bought it. It was $650. So not bad. Still, not a bad price, I don't think. But some could see it as slightly overpriced. So I still wanted to say that as a possible con for some. But there's even another pro I thought about, and that's the battery life. This thing gets like some crazy battery life, but this is supposed to be the con section, but it is what it is. So that's pretty much it. I can't really think of anything else to really add. So I think we're ready to kind of wrap this video on up. Well, all right, guys. That's about it for the Steam Deck review. of the Steam Deck OLED to be exact. And obviously it's not the best, most professional review known to man, but I'm just a guy and I wanted to give you guys my opinion since I make so many videos on this thing. And don't worry, I'm going to do a comparison video just like where we compare screen, sound, all that stuff with the old school Steam Deck too. I just didn't want to make this video too awful long. We just kind of compared the looks of them and the feels and weights and all of that in this video. In a totally different video, we will go and just compare the performance in games, you know, volume, mic quality, boot up time, shutdown time. We'll test all that stuff out in that video. And then I will also do just a straight up review of the Ally. And then, hell, we'll even do an Ally versus a Steam Deck. I think that would be pretty fun. So look forward to that. And I still think I did a pretty decent job. Might have been a little rusty. I haven't done a review in quite some time. I mostly do gameplay videos here or unboxing videos on this channel. So I'm not the best reviewer, but I still wanted to try to put my thoughts out there because I'm sure there's some that are interested. Plus I said I would do this like months ago and I'm just now getting around to it. So in any case, the Steam Deck OLED is an absolutely fantastic handheld. I really like it, and between it and my Ally, I mean, I can't really pick a winner, to be perfectly honest. I use both of them about equally, and I like both of them for different reasons. This guy for the just community, being able to place it down like a console when I'm done with it, just like a switch, hit that power button, be able to pick it right back up, that's cool. But the Ally is also cool because I can go play games at higher frame rates with variable refresh rate and all that good stuff. And in a lot of games, heck, I can even run at 1080p with the same settings and get more FPS than the Steam Deck can in a lot of games. But then its Achilles heel is the Ally's battery life sucks. So you either have to have it plugged in all the time or have a battery bank plugged in all the time. And I don't know about you, but I don't want a freaking cord hanging out of my handheld all the time. That's just annoying. Because I just know I'm gonna forget about it and then yank on it and break it. Or I might get slightly upset at a game and kind of just go, oh man, and just move by action of me moving my hands in the air to make the oh man, oh now I've yanked my cable out. It's not like I'm sitting here saying I'm gonna whip my Steam Deck across the house. I never get that mad at games anymore. As a kid, yes, there were lots of dents and some crushed controllers from my anger, but eventually I learned, hey, I'm being a little shit and breaking stuff, and my mom's not gonna buy me shit because I keep breaking shit, so maybe I should stop breaking stuff. And then I got it through my thick skull and stopped, and eventually stopped and became a nice person and not so violent. And now I almost never get mad about anything. The most I do is get slightly annoyed. Like, oh man, that was kind of dumb, or oh man, that was so stupid in that game. Why couldn't they made that easier to figure out? That's about as crazy as I get in games anymore. No, hell, I think one time while I was playing Counter-Strike, I stabbed the damn screen with a knife. It was a CRT, so it didn't do anything. In fact, it actually, since I hit it right in the middle of the crosshair, it actually gave me a perfect, like, permanent crosshair, so I didn't even need crosshairs in first-person shooters anymore. Kind of hardware hacking, but whatever. But this isn't supposed to be about me and my anger. I just kind of went off on a little stoner tangent there. You'll have to forgive me. But that's pretty much all I got for this video. Like I said, it's a great little handheld. It may not be perfect, but I think it's still a great option for people that are especially in the Steam ecosystem. And you can even play non-Steam games. I just did a game on Prince of Persia not too long ago. It's just, things can be a little bit hard to do still, and sometimes things might not work so well when you do stuff that's not Steam-based. And there's no guarantee it's gonna work, because Steam just guarantees Steam stuff's gonna work, and not even all Steam stuff works. So, it is what it is. Like I said, great console. I'm still excited for the Steam Deck 2, but I don't think we'll see that for like 1 or 2 years here. So, we should probably get comfortable with our OLED. But that's about all I got for you guys for this particular video. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, because I sure as hell enjoyed making it for you, even though I know it was probably a little out there and maybe not the best review you've ever seen, but I still enjoyed making it for you guys. So, until the next video, peace out, guys.